Good afternoon and welcome everybody who's tuned in for today's Ask Us Anything About Accreditation. So I'm Aurora Dawn Campbell, and it's that time of the week where I always have a super interesting guest. And today in the hot seat, it's Bea Phillips. Hello, Bea, welcome.
Hey, Dawn.
So Bea is stateside, so she's just had her breakfast cuppa. We in Europe are having our lunchtime cuppas, and to be honest, Bea, that's the kind of comment that I get. Oh, you're my guilty pleasure over a cuppa. Really interesting interview. Oh, I didn't know such and such. This call, just to give you some context, is for people who are interested in finding out what is coaching. This results orientated thing people keep talking about. How is that going to help me achieve my New Year's resolutions? Because we're only a matter of weeks away from making those. Or people who are thinking about adding coaching and or mentoring to their skill set, either because they want to become a coach or just a better manager. And then, of course, there's the training providers and universities who want to attract international students around the world. How does accreditation help them achieve that? Because we all know it's an unregulated market, and we've had a cat join us. I can see a tail. So what's the cat's name?
That is Rain right here. That's her favorite thing, is to sit in my lap.
Yeah, quite right. So those tend to be our audiences. We sometimes get a question, Bea, not very many, but it's usually around, well, how do I become a coach in this particular niche market or whatever. But we'll happily take your questions. I will keep an eye on my phone, and my VA, Gillian, is checking because we're live on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on. So, what fills your heart with joy, Bea, outside of work?
A cat in my lap.
Well, that is a beautiful place to start.
Well, actually, this summer I rediscovered swimming. I was in Europe for a while this year, and I was like a 10-minute walk from a lake. And so literally went swimming every single day. It was beautiful. So yeah. So, but now I'm back, like you said, stateside, and it is, even though I'm in Florida, it's chilly today. It's probably like 8 Celsius, 9 Celsius, which is unusual this time of year, but it should be going back up to about 20 Celsius by Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds a big drop, isn't it? What was it about the cold water swimming that you enjoyed?
I don't know. I haven't done it in so many years, and being in a lake instead of like a pool, you can go swim for an hour and just make big circles. And I don't know. I don't know. I just,
So you didn't find it spooky at all?
no, no,
Because the water is so dark, you can't see what's below. I'm curious because I've just started cold water swimming in the sea. So I just started last month, and I was surprised how clear it was. When I look down, I can see my feet, whereas I think lakes tend to be a little bit more inky and you can't see.
Yeah, well, this is a man-made lake. It's a gravel pit, basically, which I swam in when 40 years ago. I swam in when I was a kid. I would go there in the summer and swim, and the gravel pit has grown bigger and deeper since. And so it's pretty clear, but that's also what makes it cold. And now back in the day, there's like maybe, not a whole lot of people, and now it's people on paddle boards and windsurfers and all this stuff. So I guess it makes it more fun because like you'll be swimming along and then someone else will come swimming the other way, and then you just start chatting with a total stranger, in the middle of a lake.
Yeah,
So it's
that's what
kind
I
of
like.
odd.
Yeah, with the sea
Yes.
swimming, there is a group of us called the Blue Tits. It's an international organization. I think there's about 100 groups worldwide called the Blue Tits, and they are cold water swimmers, male and female. And we go out, and we don't actually do a lot of swimming. It's more like bobbing around, and you're just sort of like socializing, going from area to area to, and you know what? I've met two coaches, so I can't believe it. Here in Marbella, and we're talking about accreditation and all things networking and so on. So you just never know who you're going to bump into.
Very nice. So you're going off the shore in Marbella? Is that where you're going swimming?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I've bought the zip up booties and
Mhm.
the sort of jacket, you know, because I don't want a whole wetsuit because I've seen people getting in and out of them and it takes forever and you've got to clean it from the salt and whatever. And I thought I can't be bothered with that. But it does get cold. So they recommended you have the booties and the gloves because of arthritis. So your digits get cold. But I've got the jacket as well, just in case it really does get cold. So yeah, I find it very addictive. It's a great way to start the day. You see the sun coming up as we do it at about 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's lovely. And yeah, hopefully we won't get stung by jellyfish. We were talking about this the other day because apparently you don't pee on somebody who's been stung by a jellyfish. That's apparently a myth from Friends, the series Friends. You just stay in the seawater. So I'm glad I found that out.
We use vinegar, but you just gave me an idea because I have a 6 mil wetsuit hanging in the back, and I'm like, oh, now I'll go jump in the pool with that. Well, here in
Mm.
Florida now, the only people in the ocean are the tourists. You don't see the Floridians in the water. But yeah, I can take the wetsuit and go out. Thank you. See, you
Yeah.
just inspired me.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So, how did you get into coaching? Because people obviously want to hear your story. How did you get into coaching? What was the transition for you?
Ah, well, in a nutshell, I've owned and ran several businesses, still have one, and but through my business background, so without telling you my whole life story, so I have a business background, owning, starting several businesses, owning, managing them, running them, learning how to hire people and all that stuff. That's a curve. And then I switched basically and went into a yoga business, wellness business, where I ran a yoga studio with massage and juice bar and all this stuff. And when you're in the previous business, I was a Microsoft certified system engineer. So I did networking, building local networks and also setting up large area networks. Anyhow, so switching from the IT to the yoga community, but still being in business, I've always had people ask me questions, which always tell people the whole thing. I can't hold back. You know how when you have conversations with people, some people will talk a lot and then there's nothing that you walk away with in your pocket. When I have conversations, I usually end up giving away everything. And so it was the same thing with the yoga business. I had gone for training to become a health educator at the Hippocrates Institute, and which I went to actually last weekend, which was very nice
Oh,
again.
lovely.
But so I people would come to me and they would have health problems like Hashimoto's, all sorts of different health issues that people come in for to get taken care of, to find wellness. And after a while, I was like, wow, I'm giving away all this free advice. People told me, they said, thank you so much. So I found so Hippocrates offered a coaching course for the health educators. So I took the coaching class to become a certified coach, where I dipped my foot into it. And then I went back to my business and I said to my clients, hey, I'll be happy to continue to answer all your questions, but now you have to pay me because I'm a certified coach. And that's, of course, when they stopped asking me questions, and got only the serious people remain, which was a great way of filtering out,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then it kind of just started from there because a lot of my yoga students were also business owners in the town, and then it was just a mix between health and wellness coaching, and then merging into basically being a business, more of a business coach. But it
Mm,
kind of, to me, it all goes together, because someone will come to you and because they're stuck in their business somehow, and they don't know how to get out of it. And the thing is, if you are not yourself well mentally, and it's not, we don't even need to talk about physical health, which that
yeah.
adds to it. But if that person is not well mentally, then it translates into the business, the decisions that they make with the business. And so it
Mm.
all, to me, it's to me, again, we're treating the whole and not just the symptom.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I forgot to introduce you properly. We just kind of launched into this. I should say to the everybody listening, B Phillips and I have known each other for a long time. We have some fantastic chats. We're holistic practitioners. B trained at the Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida, and I was a third generation trained by somebody who trained in Florida. But I trained in the UK as a living foods practitioner, and we're coaches, so we've got a lot to talk about. And you had your yoga studio and so on. So, and you're an accredited. What level are you? I can't remember. B. What
I'm
level?
still, I'm
Uh,
just accredited. Yeah, just level
Okay.
one.
Okay, accredited coach. Um, and B has been a huge help with her IT background in helping us as an international community make our website more approachable, more friendly for the journey of the people who are looking at it. So it's come on leaps and bounds since B and her team have been working on the website. So that's, as a holistic practitioner, that's what I also found. If I was working with somebody's health, quite often it was reflected in their business. And if I was working in their business and they were having problems, quite often that was reflected in the health. So I'm talking about solo and small entrepreneurs. So yes, I can relate to what you were saying. So where did accreditation then fit into your program? Because you were juggling a lot of plates, your coaching, your yoga, etc. What made you think about accreditation?
Well, in the US, it's different than in the UK and in Europe in general. In Europe, in the US, it's kind of, I don't know how am I gonna, let's see. In the US, it's literally, you can go to a office store and put in your homemade print of business card and print 1,000 business cards for $50. And then you can go around and you can say, hey, I'm a yoga teacher, I'm a coach, I'm this, I'm that, because it's not regulated, right? There is, for instance, there are the associations like the IAPC&M, but you don't, they're not mandatory to join, and they're not a government regulatory agency like when you become a physician or a dentist, and or a CPA, like or a barrister,
Hmm. Yeah.
an attorney here in the States. And so it's easy for anyone open up shop. Excuse me one moment, I had an alarm going off.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So it's
That's
easy
okay.
to open up shop in the US. And I ran into so many people who said that they were a coach. And then when they were telling me how they're coaching their people, I was just like, OMG, right? And then I would say, well, where did you train? And number one, they would go, well, I didn't train, I just give advice.
Mhm.
So they call themselves a coach because they give advice. And so I felt like I needed to go an additional step. So yes, I have the certification. A lot of people go to yoga training and then never, like continue. But how am I going to put this? I don't feel like they're putting the professional hours into the profession. And so by getting the accreditation, I was able to say, look, I'm certified, and I went to a separate independent agency that did an assessment on my capabilities as a coach. and qualified me or passed me, said that I have at least a bare minimum to be what a coach
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think one of the reasons why accreditation is important is because it says to the end user, this person served their apprenticeship. Uh, not only are they trained and qualified and experienced, but they have put in the hours, because you have to have put in a minimum number of hours to become accredited, and then every level up to becoming a fellow of the institute is all hours based. That's the beauty of our assessment process. We're capabilities based. You can either do it or you can't. You've either got a contract or you haven't. You've got a complaints procedure or you haven't, and so on. So yeah, you're absolutely right. An unregulated market, how do you stand out in a very crowded market from all those well-meaning, nice people who love giving advice, which is not coaching?
Yeah, and actually, with the IAPC&M, I love the information that was provided. So what drew me to the IAPC&M specifically was some of the webinars that you had, but also the business building module, which is only available to members. So there are certain tools and specifics provided that were given that I didn't see from other accreditation bodies. It felt more like, you mentioned, we've known each other for years. We've built a relationship over time. And this is something I feel can only happen in the IAPC&M. I've built many relationships with other coaches that are also IAPC&M members, which I don't think if I would have joined another accreditation body, I would have been making those connections in general.
Mm. Yeah, well, it's nice of you to say that, and I do appreciate it, because we work very hard at networking. I mean, we are, after all, in the business of having a conversation. So why wouldn't we do all this networking and support of each other? And that's why I think we're increasingly being known as a community, as a family, an international family. And the masterclasses are a great stepping stone for bringing people together. So yeah, oh, thank you. Hmm. So what's next for you, B? Because I know you travel a huge amount. You're German by birth, living stateside through your marriage, and you travel a lot. So what are you up to at the moment, as opposed to just working on our website, I wonder?
Well, we had a lot of travel planned this year. We had some family occurrences, which unfortunately, literally, I'm in the middle of canceling everything. So I think this coming year, it's gonna be literally staying in Florida and taking care of
Mm,
family. Um, and I think a lot of people actually go through this, now going through this myself. There's all these different stages in life, and I don't think you're really prepared for it, because like when you're in your 20s, you're indestructible, like, well, I was indestructible anyhow, or thinking that, and then you have the 40s, there's like all these stages. And now getting older and having aging parents ourselves, and the social systems and social services that we have in the US versus like even though in Germany you still get people who resist moving into assisted living or something, you have that here in the US as well. But why put someone there if the family can still take care of the person? Like back in the day, you had the multi-generational house, which we don't have anymore due to, the evolution of the industrial age and everybody having their own, no longer being farm workers and big families living together. So now we're kind of going back to, yeah, we're gonna, this year's just gonna, this coming year's literally just gonna be focusing on family. I do have one trip coming up that I will not cancel though. That is going to be in October, I believe, next year. And that is another transatlantic cruise from Barcelona back to the States. And of course, we'll come to, Europe for a month prior.
yes. Yeah.
and but everything else just got flat
Mm,
out canceled. And these are things you can't predict, and it just something everyone's gonna go through, and it's like, wow, maybe I'm gonna find me a transition coach for life stage transition coach.
yeah.
They're
No, you
just
raised a really good point. I remember, well, I was brought up in Germany, as you know, I spent my first 18 years there. And I do remember um, three families living three generations in one house. And they would basically swap. So the grandparents would have owned the house originally, and then the children grew up and they got married and somebody moved in, so they would have lived upstairs. And the house grew, and then the grandparents moved to the bottom floor because obviously they're old and can't manage the stairs. It just all worked beautifully. That whole family system network, supportive, didn't put people in homes. It was very different when I then went to the UK at 18 to see all these retirement and residential homes. So I
Mhm.
think it's a European thing. It's not a UK thing by any means. In the UK,
Interesting.
children leave home early, and elderly people look after themselves and go into retirement homes at some point. But in Europe, and I see this in France and Spain and Italy, families are very much looking after each other and respecting their elders as revered, wise people in the family.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you get to childbearing age and you have the elder in the house and they watch the kids while you
Yeah.
go work, so you don't have to pay someone, plus it's the family, so it's all
Mm,
around a good thing. And I have not, it doesn't exist here in the States that I know of, you know.
mm,
So,
mm.
but that, yeah, well, let's go fix it.
So how much do you consider yourself American versus German? What's the strongest domineering characteristic, would you say, for you?
Oh my goodness, I've given up. I because now when you say American or German, it's like putting you in a box. It's just like saying you're vegan or you're this or that. And it's like you label yourself and you put yourself in a box. And even though I am a US citizen, I've lost my German citizenship when I became a US citizen. At that year was one of those years when I did that did not allow dual citizenship. And now it's so hard to get the German citizenship back. I'm almost thinking maybe I'll just buy me some citizenship in some South Pacific island where there's palm trees and coconuts and just disappear there. I'm about ready to at this point.
That sounds lovely. Yeah, I agree with you there about the labels and the boxes. I think of myself as an English European. And people say, well, are you English? Are you French? Are you Spanish? My heart's in Spain, that's for sure. I know that. I love our life in France. And I had a very happy childhood growing up in Germany. So it's a bit of a melting pot.
Well, yes, I totally get that. And on the other hand, I'm sitting here and I'm going, I'm thinking, let me see if I can make this and bring this full circle. Do you know why the width of the car tires are the width they are?
No.
Like the
Haven't.
in the basis.
Yeah.
Well, because that's how why they made the wheels on the wagons back in the day, and I forgot the reason why they were this far apart. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we are a product of our social and cultural programming. And so we accept being in a box without even realizing that we're in a box. And when I hear you say that you're a British European product, then you're telling me that you're a product of that cultural conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm to the point where I'm like, yeah, okay, so maybe I was born in Germany. So maybe I live in the US, but maybe I do not need to identify with this. And I'm looking at, well, what are my values? So who am I? Where do I really belong to? And it's like breaking, this is part of what I love about coaching is helping people break out of their programming. basically, when you look at the bottom line.
Maybe I'm more French than I realize then, because I think my values are very aligned to the French. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay, so let me just check my phone, see if anybody's got any questions for us. And see, yeah, just a message from Gillian saying we're live. I know we're live, so that's good. Thank you.
But
All
if
right.
you're more French, then I can't wait to come over and visit you and get served some divine French vegan meal.
Well, yes, I am known for that, so no problem there. We'll definitely do that. So, anything you would like to share before we wrap up, B? Because I'm conscious of time and I know you've got another meeting to go to, but what, if anything, would you like to add that was important to you, that people who are listening either want to work with a coach or are thinking about coaching, or accreditation? Obviously, that's what these calls are about. Anything you want to add that we've not covered?
Oh, I don't know. I think if people are following you already, they're being exposed to a lot of information. But if you are still sitting on the fence, and I'm talking to you out there, if you're still sitting on the fence, if you should take that coaching class, it's a life changer. It's very eye-opening because you are forced to work on yourself. It will open a whole new world to you, and then the as you prep for the coaching, going for the especially for the accreditation, the assessment with the IAPC&M. The IAPC&M provides so much support for you as growing into being a coach and helping you grow your business. It's money well spent. I highly recommend it. And I'm so glad that I did it, because I'm still here, I don't know, 6, 7 years afterwards. And it was one of the better decisions that I have made. So that's all I can say. It really worked out for me. You have to embrace it, but I highly recommend accreditation, and then continuing with the accreditation, the levels, which I have not, because but eventually or in the future, that's still coming, but I'm good. I'm good where I'm at. And it's also, there's people, and so side note, there's people when I was in IT, I I had so many credentials that they got longer than my name when I put them on the board, that it got ridiculous. And so don't do this to chase logos to put on your website or anything. Do it for yourself. And you don't need to have 20 different logos or 20 different certifications. Just focus on the one thing and just do it right. And that's basically, yeah, that
Yeah,
would be my
I would
recommendation.
agree with that, B. And it reminds me of a story for when I was head of mentoring, one of the students. And I always said to the students, whether you become a coach afterwards or not is, a whole different area. Right now, what you're doing by going on a coaching training is improving the quality of your life, because coaching is communication. And the quality of our life depends on the quality of our communication. So if you get nothing else out of it, you don't have a business as a coach at some point in the future, your communications will improve. And this student said to me, he had started to believe that because he was a divorcee and he used to pick his 5-year-old up from school every day. So the wife or the mother, the ex-wife, took the child to school in the morning. It was his job to take the child home in the evening. And he always used to say, have you, did you, will you, could you? And the child, was a very shy child. It was from a divorcee family. It was only 5. And he said, it's really hard to engage with this little girl in the car. But he said, once I started asking her, who did you play with? What did you eat? How much homework have you got? He said she just kind of blossomed and we started having conversations. And I think that summed up beautifully what coaching is about. It's about having conversations, and it enriches your life whether you become a coach or not, whether you're collecting certificates or not, whether you want to build a business or not. Coaching is just a beautiful thing to add to your skill set.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Mm. Well, thank you, Bea. This is the last Ask Us Anything before the new year. We're into December and it will be everybody's thinking about Christmas, and probably we're not going to have too many people following us. So we're taking December off. So you're my last guest of the year.
Ooh, I feel special.
You are special. You are special. So we'll see you again in the new year with more interesting topics, more lovely guests, and more opportunities to ask us questions. So have a wonderful festive family break wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, whoever you're spending it with. Stay safe, stay positive, and keep asking open questions and enjoying conversations. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Bea.